City of Stevens Point Board of Water and Sewerage Commissioners meeting, recorded February 8, 2021.
All right, we're about a minute beforehand, but I don't think we have anything controversial, or if we do, it'll be later down the agenda. So let's begin. First order, welcome everybody. First order of business is the roll call, which Jamie will take care of. And then we need to review the minutes of last month's meeting and ask if there are any questions or corrections. If not, a motion is in order.
Move to approve. Carl?
Haynes will second.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. The next agenda item are the claims for the water department. Any questions or corrections? I guess questions primarily.
There's a not available up in the top right. Is that, it's the only one of the three that don't have the balances available. Is there an explanation behind that? I'm sure.
Yeah, I think Mary'd probably explain that the best. Mary, can you?
Yes, I just had to figure out how to unmute myself. We did our utility billing merger, and some of our Starnic transactions posted in Starnic but didn't post in our actual GLs yet, and I'm trying to figure it out. But as of this point, I do know what our ending balance is, but I am working on getting the actual deposit amount because everything goes into one bucket now, and to try to figure out what portion is water and sewer and storm, and then to make water jive with the books, that all the GLs were correctly posted and things like that. We're just having a little error, I guess not error, but it's been challenging because of the utility billing conversion. We stopped posting on the 21st, but yet we're still taking deposits through a customer portal, and I'm working on it.
And I will say to that end too, it's been a pretty monumental effort here, and they've all been working really hard on making the transition go really smooth.
On item number 55087, $76,834 refund. Can we get a brief explanation on that?
Yeah, that was found. Basically what happened is there was I believe this was a multiplier error. One of the things that we've been dealing with in our transition between softwares is that when reads come in the metering system, oftentimes depending on the age of the meter, the style of the meter, the size of the meter, the manufacturer of the meter, everything else, we may have to multiply things by 10, by 100 in order to get the read to be right in our billing system. And unfortunately, this one was billed wrong the first time, and this is the correction to get it back to where it should have been. So we're going to have a few more bumps like this, certainly going from one software to another and that software back. But when we do find them and we know that it's our error, of course, we issue the refund immediately.
Remind us how long that we've been trying to make this conversion.
I believe it's been forever. No, it feels like a long time. We went from Springbrook to Starnic almost Mary, is it almost 3 years ago or a little more than 3 years ago? Oh, she's muted again.
It is almost 3 years ago.
Almost 3 years. So, and now we're going from Starnic back to Springbrook, and that's been in the last, week and a half here has been the big lift on that effort.
So what was the time frame over that overbilling, I'll call it?
That would have been a quarter, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So are we, as staff, well, I'm sure they're frustrated, but more importantly, do they think it was still the right decision to switch back to Springbrook?
I think more and more so. The software we're going away from is, even during this transition, presenting itself as one that we don't want to be a part of. So yeah, we're moving in the right direction, as painful as it is, because every time you do one of these, it's a lot of work and there's bumps along the road. But I believe that everybody would say, yeah, we're happy to be going back.
I have a lot of sympathy for you all because I've been through 3 bank conversions where our supplier, finally just got so bad we couldn't stand it anymore. We went to a different one. About 2 years ago, I was sitting around a bunch of bankers having lunch, and we were complaining about this one or that one or a different one. And there was a lot of vulgarity going on. And finally, we just all decided we're just going to stay where we are because of what you guys are experiencing right now. So,
Yeah, it's hard. And just for the record too, I just want to note Ray just came on, so we've got a full commission now.
all right. Any other questions for water claims?
This is Carl. I have a question on 55109. Now, that annual bridge maintenance fee, is that a digital bridge or is that the physical bridge?
That is the physical bridge that is 60 feet north of the Black Bridge, the railroad bridge that crosses the river. Back in, I think it was 05, 07, somewhere in that era, we built the utility bridge that crosses the river just north of the train bridge. And we shared costs on the construction of that. But when it comes right down to the structure, it's the mill that kind of does some, it's theirs is what it comes down to. We have exclusive use of the north side of the bridge and the south side is theirs, but it's their structure. So this is a fee we agreed to way back then to cover some of the things associated with their staff time to go out and do routine checks and to license the whole thing as a structure, stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Well, we all learned something with that. Any other questions on a water department? All right, if not, let's go on to sewage. Questions?
This is Carl. On 55081, work done for a customer, is that where we're paying Robleski for work that was
Right.
part of
So-
a project lateral thing, or?
Yeah, oftentimes on those projects when we get into sidewalk or curb and gutter, or if it's winter months and we need to do a temporary patch with concrete that would normally be asphalt, that we end up paying for some of that depending on if it's a main break or something. But Eric, do you know specifically which one this was?
Yeah, so that was concrete work done for 2 laterals, I believe, and they just got around to billing us.
Okay.
Blesky did, so those are getting forwarded to the customer for their lateral repairs.
So it does get passed back through into the individual customer.
Some of it does, yeah.
Okay,
If it's for a customer, yep.
thank you.
Anna, I have a question on, what number is it? 55129, troubleshoot SCADA issue. What is that?
Yeah. So LW Allen is our integrator for the SCADA. The SCADA is the system that both on the water and the wastewater side we use to basically control the operations. You can turn pumps on, turn pumps off, monitor different processes, things like that. So this was for their time to troubleshoot some issues we were having with the SCADA system.
So what does SCADA actually stand for?
Supervisory control and data acquisition.
Oh, okay.
Steering,
I love all the acronyms, huh?
Yep. It's just, when you picture walking into a control room of any kind and they got big screens up and things
Right.
flashing and that's a SCADA system.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
You bet.
what do we use it for?
We use it for everything that basically on the wastewater side, they can watch the entire process there. Any pump that's running, they can control to a degree. There might be small things that aren't controllable. You can do things like level alerts and watch the watch the level in the towers, watch what pumps are on in the well field, watch what's running at the wastewater treatment plant, watch which lift stations are cycling on and off and the frequency at which they're doing it, things like that.
Okay, that's a great explanation. Thank you.
Mhm.
Other questions on sewage? All right, let's go on to stormwater.
So my question, it's Anna again, 55106. There's a stormwater coalition. And there's
Yeah,
contribution for cooperative cooperative education.
right. So we're part of this North Central Stormwater Coalition. There's cities in our region or anybody who is an MS4 permittee, which is what you are when you have a stormwater permit from the DNR, essentially. A lot of members belong to this coalition. And what the benefit we get out of that is that really anybody who does any education or one of the things that happened years ago in Point was there was a rain garden installation for public display type thing. Anything that happens in any one of those communities, when you're a member of this cooperative, essentially, is that you get to take credit for those efforts inside of your annual report. So, for example, there's commercial that went out, some time ago, the rubber ducky commercial that talks about stormwater and educates people on that. That's a lot easier to do as a collective than it is to do as a single permittee. So we do things as a group, we learn as a group, and then we also take credit for everybody else's other education efforts as a group.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
Although it sounds like double counting to some degree, but okay.
Yeah, actually, it's right in the way you report it. It's very clear that the things you're saying that, we participated in, a public works day in this community or something like that. So you're very clear about where it was and stuff like that. But I think that the point is, and the reason the DNR is good with it is because sometimes the bigger efforts that might take place, say in Wausau or Point, that are benefiting a smaller community that wouldn't have the resources to plan them or whatever, they can still alert their residents or talk about it at a commission meeting like this just to get the word out. And then everybody gets to say, hey, we're participating in this too.
Any other questions? If not, a motion to approve all three sets of claims are in order.
So move, Nachman.
Is
Painful
Carl?
second.
A second from Carl, a first from May. All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Sometime back, I asked Joel to put an agenda item on for our individual commissioner compensation. And he did a fine job in the letter that he included in the packet, acknowledging the fact that we haven't readjusted our compensation since 2014. For those of you who may be newer to the commission, when Mayor Halverson, who is a personal friend of mine and was, while he was mayor, took office for, I think it was 2 terms, wasn't it, Joel?
Yeah, just shy of. He left just before the end of his second term.
Yeah. He made it clear within the first month that he was in office that there would be no salary increases for compensation for commissioners as long as he was in office, because at the time his mother was doing what Joel's doing right now. And so those of you who've been with us longer may recall that the month after he left, I came back and revisited compensation in 2014. And now that we're almost, we're out 7 years again. The last time we did this, I recommended that we do a 2% per year compensation increase because I know enough about salary increases from working at the bank or different places for so many years, and to compare it with the cost of living increases and those sorts of things. And considering the small amount that we're paid, 2% isn't much of an increase per year anyway. So I'd like to recommend that we agree to go to the calculations that Joel has included in the letter, and I'll open it up for comments or questions or whatever else might be appropriate.
So even though this is Anna again, even though I have been on here now a while, it has not been 7 years. So, and I guess I was surprised when I was getting paid. So can you go back to what's the rationale for getting paid?
Oh boy. Actually, I really can't. You know, it's part of the city. I guess you'd call it charter. It's right in the ordinances, which actually aren't even. They need some adjusting. The language didn't even reflect some things that happened the last couple rounds of this. So, I did talk to the clerk's office already to say we need to clean up how this is all spelled out. But the utility commission, when you go back to when it was created, and we became city-owned utility in 1922 from the water perspective. It really is, and you'll notice there's no alders on this commission, right? There's that essential nature of managing utilities that there's a very intentional effort to keep non-politicized, right? And from that perspective, it's made up of a separate group of people, and the compensation's been there from day one, as far as I know. So I don't know that there's any other rationale I can give you than that. It is obviously, you can see it on the screen, it's very modest. But that's the last time we looked at this, we did compare to some other commissions, and there were some differences, and really it's a decision for you guys.
Okay.
And I've been on this commission for over 30 years, and I had the same experience that you did. One of the mayors called me up and asked me, I can't even remember who it was, and we didn't talk about compensation at all. And I said I'd go on the commission, and all of a sudden I started getting these checks in the mail. But well, okay, then the way they worded it, it made sense in the letter that came with it for the first one. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of a state, I don't know, statute is probably the wrong word, so state regulation that wants this utility to be, or this organization to be independent of the people who get voted into office rather than appointed by the mayor. And it's not a lot of money for what we do, the time we spend. But I think it's folly to let it go for 15, 20 years and then try to decide what it should be.
Sure. Yeah. No, I was just curious because, I serve on Plan Commission, but yes, it is more political. There is an alder, and of course the mayor is the chair. So, okay,
Yeah.
good. Thank you for the explanation.
Well, it wasn't much of one. I guess it's one of those things where you say it's always been that way, and I hate that when that's the answer to.
Well, I guess to get real down to the nitty gritty of it too, to speak to the differences, there are some operational differences, right? You guys as a commission are charged with the entire operation of these utilities, and that includes everything. I mean, there isn't another part of the city outside of the finance committee where they do approval of claims and things like that. So there's a large operational responsibility. There's a large fiduciary responsibility. And things have changed over the years. And I would say to the point where there's actually even more than there was when something like this was first considered, right? It's not water and wastewater like it was 15 years ago. It's water, wastewater, stormwater. We just brought on fiber as a sixth enterprise managed under the department. We work with transit and airport on the financial side and the administrative side. So there's a lot of responsibility there that just isn't seen by other commissions.
And the same was true of why the president gets paid a little bit more. When I got elected to this position over 20 years ago, and all of a sudden my compensation came in and it was more. I'm going, what's this all about? At that time it was Mrs. Helverson, and she explained that because in theory, Joel calls me once in a while, asks me a question about this or a question about that he doesn't with the rest of you, that's why it's always been that way. If I could say that again. So.
Now, Joel, this rate also goes to the city council or to the mayor's office, or and then is voted as a part of our package. It's not that we're setting the rates for ourselves. Our minutes, our recommendations are to the city. Is that correct?
Well, that's right, because everything that happens at this commission gets approved a week from today at city council. So they can choose to take our actions as a whole, your actions as a whole, and approve them, or they can pull items off of an agenda, revisit it, take different action, recommend something else. So right, everything here is technically advisory to the common council.
And
I can also share with you all that because of the fact that I have a degree a major in economics, and I read a lot of Wall Street journals and other, economic documents, that 2% is a very, very conservative increase. I mean, I know what we have offered our employees on a percentage basis over the last 7 years, and sometimes the numbers are closer to 3.5, and in some cases 5%. So it's pretty modest amount. And I think this would be the third time that I've been on the board that we went this way and did it the way Joel explained, and there's never been any controversy over it.
I wish you could be on the Board of Regents.
Yeah.
How many 0% increases have we had over the years? Sheesh. But okay, yeah. So are we talking about then every 7 years increasing? That's what we're talking about.
That's not the intent. The only reason to put the years there is give you perspective. I think it's really up to the president and/or what's your title, executive director, Joel?
Director, yeah, it really is up to you guys. I mean, Paul brought it up to say, how long has it been type thing. We should probably act on it. But if anybody wanted to say, hey, it seems like it's been a while, let us know how long it's been. I can bring a memo like this to you guys at your request every 2 years, every 3, it's really up to the commission.
And
I think
the final question, does the total amount then, is it go as part of our budget here? That's what where does that money go that you spend on this payroll?
Yeah, the capital operation and maintenance plan that we talk about last month and gets updated from time to time, there's a lot of things that aren't in that. A lot of our operational, like for example, utility wages for staff are not in there. That plan is to try to outline those things that are large expenditures, non-routine expenditures, things like that, to give an idea of where we're going that might not be the regular kind of mechanical cadence of everything we do. Because after all, when we add staff, we get permission for that, right? And we're not going to ask for it unless it can get worked in somehow. Ultimately, when expenses go up or big capital projects require it, we do rate increases. Those are the things that all impact this. So no, that number isn't reflected on the capital operation and maintenance plan that we look at either December or January, like we did last month. But it's there inside of the fact that we're paying that now. A 2% increase, doesn't have a line item increase approval that's needed.
My thoughts about this is, because it's such a small amount, if we look at it once every 7 to 10 years, I guess is what I would say. I would not want to do it every year, every other year, because it's just more work for the staff over what's really not very much money. So a motion's in order to approve the recommended 2% for 7 years.
I'll move to approve this, Carl.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Water supply and distribution, Eric.
All right, hope you're all staying warm in this frigid weather finally showed up. Just a couple updates outside our first month of 2021 pumpage there. Well 7, I stated last month, was close to being back online, and it is the piping project that we completed is back and we're online. And I'd mentioned in the past, I'd like to give you well 4 updates. That's the well north of Iverson Park. It's kind of baby steps at this time. We're hoping that this month the DNR approves the new siting for that well. And if that happens, the test well that needs to be drilled to make sure we have good quality water would be designed in about the March timeframe. DNR approval for that test well would be the summer, and then we'd actually drill the test well sometime in fall. If we get good quality water, then we do the production well and all the design of the building probably this time next year. So kind of baby steps, but that project is slowly moving on. Those are the only 2 updates I have for today, unless you have questions otherwise.
Remind me where well 7 is, please.
Well 7 was on the Wellfield Road out by the airport. Those buildings out there all had really old meters for telling how much water is coming into the system. So we've been trying to repipe the house to make a new modern meter fit that's very accurate. So it's a little bit of finagling, and you have to run the piping along a wall, 90 degree through a meter, and then back down through the floor. But it works. So that's the second well we've had done. We'll have 1 more done hopefully next year.
And once you get the test water drilled and you find the place where there's good water, who does the actual drilling of the water pipe?
Yeah, good question. So that would actually probably go out for a bid, and Joel knows a little bit more about that. I would say once they get all the documents together, it goes out, and the lowest probably is awarded that.
Yeah, it's kind of like we do our annual constructions or big wastewater treatment plant projects or anything like that. Contract documents are put together along with drawings, and it goes out for bid. It's publicly advertised. And except for rare occasion where there's reason to give consideration to it, lowest bid wins the job. When there's something like this, there aren't a lot of games in town that or in the area that do this. There's usually about 3 companies that will respond to this for sure in an area like this. And if we're concerned about getting somebody who's not qualified, what we can do is do pre-qualifications along with a required pre-bid meeting and really sort out who's qualified to do this kind of work. But I don't suspect we'd have any issues on well installation.
Do you want to venture a guesstimate for me as to what that's going to cost?
Yeah, I actually have an email here. Our engineer last week, I mean, we had it in capital this year and for next year, but just a rough estimate just of the new production well is $200,000. The engineering cost for the design of that well is $45,000. So together the well itself would be about $250,000. That doesn't include getting that water down to our well 4 treatment plant to have it filtered as well. There's modifications to the building. I think we had budgeted in the $700,000 for this project. So
very good. You answered my second question about I don't even remember what it was now, but you did. So
thank you.
That's very good to know, and good report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
This right here is well 7 out on Wellfield Road.
Yeah, that was the repiping project we do within those little houses.
All right, on to construction and maintenance, or no, I didn't mean to exclude you here, Chris. Sewage treatment report?
I don't blame you trying to exclude me. That's all right. It's not a real exciting topic most days. We did meet all of our operational permit levels for the month. So we met all of our permit, which we should. The biogas engine is currently down for its rebuild. So we were not producing electricity during the month of January. So we were able to utilize that biogas to run our dryer as well as heat a bunch of buildings. But being as cold as it is, we still only did about 30% of our total heat consumption that we were able to produce on site. Normally we're a little higher than that when we can run the biogas engine. So that's hopefully going to be back up by the end of the month. we'll have that up and the generator back up and running again. Other than that, that's about all we're doing right now. We've got a lot of water running in places, making sure stuff doesn't freeze. But as soon as it warms back up, everything will calm down.
Very good. Any questions? Okay. Now we go to construction and maintenance.
Yeah, Craig isn't with us today. What I can tell you is that the crews have been busy with things like checking hydrants and doing all that wintertime maintenance and everything like that. And the report here for flushing, cutting, jetting, and everything is provided. If you've got any questions, we'll field them.
All right, any questions? All right, Joel, 8 and 9 are yours.
Yeah, on the community area network, we do have our final billing done on that. Takes us up to the contract amount with the school district of $1.591 million. So that is complete, all done there. As far as the director's report goes, I have nothing else to add. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to see on the community area network project that I can pull up quick and show you, or something to present to you next month. It's really your call. I know there's been some curiosity around that, and I can present it however you'd like.
Does anybody have a desire to have more detail on that at next month's meeting?
I would say in total, it was a really good project. In fact, we had a call today with the school district's consultant who said, hey, this was one of the smoother projects I've done in a while. And I think that our approach at it being that, you know, we look at it from a utility perspective versus one of these, you know, a lot of communities organize this in a much different way, I think really helped. So in fact, Eric graciously signed up Brandon in our office and I to talk about this structure at a industry meeting upcoming. So I think it's catching on. I think people are seeing the value in handling these kind of assets in the same way we handle our other utility assets.
Well, this is the most important question of the meeting. Anna, is that a deer in your backyard or is that your television?
The thing that's in back of me?
Yeah, through your window. We can see a deer through your window.
Oh, that's a little dog.
It's
Oh.
my
Well, still interesting. So a motion to adjourn is in order.
I'll move to adjourn.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Both same sign. Motion carried. On to airport.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.